Hey, Barry, how are you?
Jody, how are you doing?
Good. Thanks for joining me today to
Well,
kind
thank
of
you for the invitation.
absolutely want to talk a little bit about Snowbound and Code Mantra and the great partnership that we have collaborated on, and looking forward to what the future holds for our organizations.
And same here.
Thank you. So why don't we kind of start with, tell me a little bit about Code Mantra.
Well, Code Mantra itself has been around for about 16 years now. It started out doing traditional publishing services and started to build software platforms over the years. And today we're a software company that happens to have some services. And today we're going to see one of those platforms, CollectionPoint, but we also have another platform called Accessibility Insight.
And you are based here in Burlington, is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, we have offices actually in Burlington, Massachusetts, in London, and also in Chennai, India.
Excellent. Now, do you service a global customer base? Do you focus here primarily in the US? Where's your target market?
So our customers actually are a wide variety of customers. We're across 4 continents. Majority of customers are based here in the States, but we go and service several different verticals. As I might have mentioned earlier, publishing has kind of been the core market over time, but we've expanded beyond that to be nonprofits, government agencies, state and local governments, as well as now financial services and insurance.
Excellent. So as you and I were working together, kind of talking about, where the software and solutions fit, I mean, your document management platform has really evolved in terms of workflows and different functionality within the application, and it's quite robust. So can you tell us a little bit about the CollectionPoint platform?
Absolutely. So CollectionPoint at its core is a document management system, but over the last few years, we've invested a lot of R&D money around creating what we're calling a document intelligence platform. And what we mean by that is it's both moving upstream from the system to extract out data entities through machine learning capabilities, but then it's also downstream integration into other systems such as learning management systems, ERP systems, customer relationship management systems. So it's really the full package now of being able to automate the processing of a document.
So can you talk to me a little bit about your choice of going with VirtualViewer and integrating that into CollectionPoint? Some of the reasons behind why?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I said, we have invested a lot in R&D to build the product out, both from a front end and a back end standpoint. The front end side of it is adding additional tools that are going to help our customers. And one of those was VirtualViewer. Others included Office 365, and then we are also integrating some XML editors, depending on the way you want to manage your content. So with VirtualViewer, we felt very strongly that our customers who manage complex documents need a way to be able to, what I call lightly edit their documents so that they can use them internally or externally with their customer base. But what VirtualViewer brings to us, frankly, is a level of editing that's extremely important from a business document standpoint. And we'll get into that in a little bit in the demonstration.
I actually think that's a great segue. If you have the demo handy and want to jump in and show that, that would be great.
Absolutely. Let me go over here to the demonstration. And feel free to ask questions along the way, Jody. So CollectionPoint itself is a web-based application, a web-based platform. It runs on AWS. And it's a very scalable platform. So you can have small work groups using this, and you can scale up to several hundred, including up to over 1,000 users with terabytes of content. So it's a very scalable platform. And like I said, hosted on AWS. So what you see here when you first enter is a dashboard. And the dashboard can be configurable on a user basis, on a role basis, or on a team basis. It's totally up to you. And each of these widgets is highly configurable. So this is just my view of what is inside of CollectionPoint, as well as then other types of business reports, such as the number of distribution rules, such as the types of documents in the system, and the number of users. Again, this is all very configurable. You can do this however you would like. On the left-hand side is basically our way of working with the content in the system. And then across the top is are various features such as some basic word search, and then you can also create advanced filtering. We don't have enough time to go into all the capabilities today, but I'm just going to walk you through a scenario if that's okay, Jody.
Oh, absolutely. And just one thing that before you dive in, I do want to point out, so CollectionPoint does support a wide variety of document formats, correct? And obviously that was part of our synergy.
That is correct. That is correct, yes. So any type of document you can load, we consider those assets, and you can load them right into our system and store them however you would like.
And images and videos as well, correct?
That is correct.
Perfect.
So if you take a look at the application overall, again, storing whatever you would like, I'd like to walk you through a scenario where when we were talking about the document intelligence platform, a use case that we're becoming very familiar with is business documents coming into CollectionPoint and having the intelligence extracted out of the PDF. That's a very common scenario for us. And it's ironic because if you look at the statistics, 83% of enterprise businesses use Microsoft Word, which is fantastic, right? Adobe tells us there's 2.5 billion PDFs out on the marketplace. So how do you think people are shipping documents amongst themselves? Generally, it's in a PDF format, which is fine. But when it's in a PDF format, that means the insights and the intelligence is locked within the PDF. So what CollectionPoint does is when you load a document into CollectionPoint, we actually are able to extract out those insights. So let's just say, for example, we go into our documents folder here. And we're just going to start looking at this contract for electronic gadgets, okay? And essentially what we want to do is we want to set up a workflow so that when the document comes into CollectionPoint, behind the scenes, that machine learning data extraction is actually going to be instantiated. So I'm actually going to go down into the document information about that contract. And now I'm going to go and I'm going to take a look at not only the workflow that we have set up, but also then the metadata fields we have set up around it. So again, this is just representative workflow of what you can do within CollectionPoint. But in this case, what we're doing is you have a visual representation of the actual workflow itself. And then the metadata that we're capturing or extracting out of the document is then automatically inserted into these metadata fields. This is really important from the standpoint of when you're a business and you need to, say, for example, process purchase orders. Well, the purchase order can come in. We can extract out the appropriate information into the metadata fields, and then we can package up those purchase orders and then push them downstream. So we're going to go through that scenario a little bit. In between that, you may want to take a look at that document, and that's where VirtualViewer comes into play. So for this example, we're talking about contracts, and we wanted to take a look at a contract. Well, again, workflow, very configurable. The metadata fields, extremely configurable as well. We can also extract out those insights out of the PDF and automatically place them here. So before I jump into the actual virtual viewer, do you have any other questions there, Jody?
Just a question on the metadata that you're extracting. That is happening behind in an external process and then feeding into the application, or does it happen in real time, whereas you pull open a document, you have to invoke the process to pull out that metadata?
In most cases, what happens is we place documents in a folder, wherever that's at, whether it's an FTP site, whether it's local, it doesn't matter. And once we pull those documents in, our machine learning reads that document, understands what type of document it is, and then it goes through its process and extracts out the data elements as appropriate. In some cases, we can configure it to automatically populate these metadata fields. In some cases, these metadata fields you might want manually populated. It's totally up to you. The system is that configurable.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so let's go back out. We're going to get it back out of this, what we call a card, and we're going to go back out to our data and our contract. So at this point, we want to find out exactly what this document is about and what we need to place on top of it. So we're going to take a look at, again, the contract for electronic gadgets. We're going to come over here. The interesting thing about this user interface, by the way, I should mention, is this is all very highly configurable. You can move any of these columns around. You can search against these columns. It's extremely flexible interface. This just happens to be our demo site, and it's the way it's set up. But in this case, what I want to do is I want to view this contract itself. So when I view this document, it instantiates VirtualViewer. So this sample professional services contract comes up. We have all the bells and whistles associated with VirtualViewer at this point, which is outstanding. So in this case, I want to take a look at this contract. And, let's say this is an internal review. This is something we want to make a few minor edits to this to have an internal review. But let's say the contract costs are sensitive information. So what I want to do is I want to create a layer, and this allows multiple people to be able to work on this document. So say I want to put some things on it, and maybe my manager wants to put some things on it. But in this case, I want to add in a layer, and we're just going to call it Barry. Okay? So that layer right now, I can put whatever I want on this, and that layer is saved. The edits are saved as Barry. So for this document, again, the pricing is sensitive, so I want to redact any type of pricing. In this case, it's blank, but that's okay. We want to just kind of hide it anyway. So I'm just giving you an idea of some of the redaction. In addition, we may really want to emphasize that this is for internal use only, so we want to put a watermark here. And we might want to say internal, right? So we're really making sure that people don't get access to it. There's a whole host of other features too, but in the essence of time, I'm only going to show you two more, which is one like a sticky note, and we can just put something in here to say, do not show pricing. Okay, we're going to save that. And then finally, the last thing, which I find fantastic, is many times contracts have to be rearranged because of various requirements. Well, in this case, VirtualViewer allows you literally to drag and drop these pages into whatever order you want, which I find fantastic, and it saves a tremendous amount of time. So this is just a high-level overview. Obviously, Jody, you know a lot more of these capabilities than I do. Any questions on how we instantiate the actual VirtualViewer application, or how we work with documents, or how we anticipate working with documents?
No, not so much a question, just taking a look at how VirtualViewer is pulling up the documents. I assume with the way your customers utilize collectionPoint, the ability to be able to open multiple documents in that one window is probably a very time-saving capability between the two products, where you're opening multiple documents, and then you can move from tab to tab. You can, copy and paste and create whole new documents right within VirtualViewer.
That's correct. That's correct. Yes. I mean, I didn't do that in this case, but you can absolutely do that and move pages back and forth if you would like. Extreme savings of time.
Absolutely. When you talk about, the complete life cycle, I can see this being applicable across many industries. Can you talk to me a little bit about, we've highlighted the publishing industry, we've highlighted the public sector a little bit. Mm-hmm. What about on the financial and the insurance side? Can you talk to me a little bit about some of the use cases there?
Yeah, again, many of the financial services and insurance, and actually getting into manufacturer as well, many of these companies use what we call complex documents, but they're fairly static documents. In other words, every year they need to be updated, but only certain pieces of that document need to be updated, and then they're republished out to their consumer or even internally as some type of standard operating procedure or something like that. So the ability to be able to make those small little changes in that editorial process that's internal is extremely important for those types of customers.
So Barry, I know Code Mantra offers a selection of products and solutions. So in addition to collectionPoint, you have Accessibility Insight, and the two products really complement each other really well as standalone Can you talk to me a little bit about Accessibility Insight?
Absolutely. So Accessibility Insight is a machine learning based platform that allows for the remediation of digital documents so that they are 508 compliant. What that means is the World Wide Web Consortium has set up standards, WCAG standards and PDF UA, that essentially say that documents need to be accessible to the sight impaired. And so our platform allows for the automation of that remediation. If you look at processes that are traditionally done, they will take a PDF and they will have to manually go through and tag all the pieces of content in that PDF, which is very time consuming. Our platform actually automates that by over 80%. And then the final, or I would say the last mile around the alt text writing is done through our service bureau. So we have subject matter experts do that. But once the PDF is completed in the platform, it's fully accessible and the screen readers are able to read that with no problem whatsoever.
You brought up screen readers. Because of the integration with VirtualViewer, obviously you're able to utilize the screen reading capability through the viewer application within collectionPoint. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, actually, I found that to be a really awesome feature, to be honest with you, because I've never seen it before integrated in this type of application. But just to show it to you, you can actually read
Page 1, sample of professional services contract 1. Parties, the parties to...
Which is exactly what a screen reader will do to an accessible PDF that we remediate. So it's pretty amazing that you have that built into your tool.
Yeah, we find that very helpful, obviously, as the world is changing right now, and everyone is going remote. And as you mentioned, the accessibility and compliance requirements, more and more organizations are looking at how to make more of their items compliant. And with VirtualViewer, with all of the file formats that we support, it's PDF, it is Word documents, it is any document that is text searchable, vector. VirtualViewer can support that speech capability.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Like I said, it was the first time I've ever seen that in any type of tool.
So Barry, if I remember the screenshot correctly and kind of looking through that workflow at the top, there are a number of steps throughout that entire life cycle. Have we hit all of them, or are there other areas as well?
Well, actually, I did want to, and thank you. You reminded me. I wanted to go back and show you the business rule capabilities, because this is a very powerful feature within the collectionPoint system. So I'm going to actually go into my administrator role here, and I'm going to jump over to business rules. So, the difference between our system and many other systems is there's a lot that's just configuration versus customization. Out of the box, you just set these things up. So what is great about this is, say, for example, I just wanted to, for whatever reason, we were going to distribute the contract that we had to Amazon. This is just an example here. I'm going to open up, and you can see that the business rule is nothing more than a configuration. There's no coding involved. We can set this up to be to look at the content, and based on the metadata, create a package based on the timing. In other words, every day at the end of the day at 5 o'clock, we're going to package up whatever in a specific folder, and we're going to say we're going to be sending that to Amazon or to whatever downstream system. It can be other types of conditions, a specific year of contracts. It could be operational conditions, when give me all the PDFs, the EPUBs, the Word documents, that triggers something. So the business rule update is extremely configurable and extremely powerful. So thanks for the reminder. And I do think this is a differentiator for us.
Definitely. I mean, looking at the dashboard and the screen here, I mean, the options really are limitless in terms of making sure that you're adhering to both the organizational rules as well as down to department or user. So the flexibility is definitely a word that jumps to mind when you think of collectionPoint.
That's right. And we pride ourselves on that with building open APIs, so you can link in and integrate other downstream systems or even other tools. And our customer base is wide and varied, but that's intentional, and that's why it's called collectionPoint. It's because it is a collectionPoint independent of the type of company that it is.
So if somebody's interested in taking a look at CollectionPoint, how do they go about getting a demo or an evaluation?
So the easiest way is you can go to our website, which is www.codemantra.com, and you can take a look at our CollectionPoint web pages, and then just reach out to us via the forms that are there for a demonstration. We do have some smaller demonstrations online, but oftentimes we want to create a targeted demo for folks.
Barry, thank you so much for your time today. It is always great to see how our customers and partners are utilizing Virtual Viewer, and this was a great demonstration. So folks, hop on over to www.codemantra.com and check out CollectionPoint.
Thank you, Jody, and thank you to the team at Snowbound. Virtual Viewer is an awesome product, and we look forward to doing great things together.
Absolutely. Thanks, Barry. Have a great day.
You too.